So you're really welcome. Yes, I did indeed. How was your flight and everything? It's a bit delayed. Oh, no, it's really weird coming back. Yeah. Very good.
I love that as a kid. Hi Martina, how are you? Glad you can make it. Glad you're ready to stay too long.
Yeah.
Sure, yeah, it doesn't change really.
I keep going to post
Oh, the key. Straight across the road there. Cashel. Yeah.
I passed something with Victoria written on it, and that's what
Very lucky. Yeah, it's alive now, but we just need a second.
Okay, great. Yeah.
it's great.
That's the camera. For those who are still keep watching.
I have to tell you guys when I finish. So they're
Yeah.
the world has changed so much,
I
isn't
know.
it?
Yeah, I find that hard adjustment to adjust to. I think the hyper and stuff.
I remember having like a private discussion with somebody I was reading with in Dublin, and the next thing I heard all this like squeaking and laughing. I realised they were all there. I was like it was so big, it was kind of funny, but I could have said anything. And the really weird thing, it was like they were tiny, so there was kind of like squeaking voices. It was like really like bizarre, yeah.
I always forget that as well, like when we're talking here, that it is.
I just realised recently, I just taking photographs of her. Like I really don't know to stop. It's like, it's not fair. Like I don't post it or anything, it's just myself. It's still, yeah.
Years, it's
I don't like some of that. I don't like
you doing here today? I think we suck. I think Dave was making a point of going with different people last year. And then I think he felt really bad as well. I think I was thinking something else. And I wasn't even thinking of it, just educating really, you know. He was like, sorry about the picnic anyway. And I was like, just look, I do have some spare tickets, you know. I can't guarantee you to speak, but if you want them, I'm like, Dave, relax a little. But like, so I think he was probably thinking like, I need to think of us or something, you know.
He's a pariah now of the classy.
Of course, yeah. No, I know, I say someone this person there, and there's someone oh, it's your first time.
People I know already, like yourselves included, that are coming all the time, but I just don't see them here.
Oh, I need to get a pen.
Very stylish.
Yes. Hello, everybody. You're very welcome to Ovale's end of year event. This is the 705th Ovale, which is pretty cool. The first part of the evening was the poetry films, which you just saw and enjoyed, I hope. And the rest of the event, there are 3 parts. We have, first of all, a writing challenge, which I will explain momentarily. Then we have our amazing guest poet, Martina Evans, who I'm really, really excited to hear her read. And then the third part, or fourth part of the evening, really, is the open mic. So the first part of the live part is the 5-word challenge, which is where you, the audience, and the people joining us online. Hello, people online. Hello. You will provide 5 words, and out of the 5 words, you are invited to write a poem or a piece of fiction or a flash fiction, or whatever you like. So, yeah, and then you'll be invited, if you want to come and read it. And there is a winner of the 5 words competition, and the winner wins these books and a hat and a free drink at the bar, courtesy of the Long Valley. So exciting times. Just before we go ahead, the event is recorded and sent out to the internet to exist there, so just so you know that ahead of time. Okay, so could I have the first word for the 5-word challenge, please?
Got shawarma from Jeff.
Got what?
Shawarma.
Shawarma, like the...
Chicken shawarma.
S-H-A. W-A-R.
Sorry, S-H?
A-W-A-R-M-A.
Shawarma. It's a food, I believe. Yeah. Shawarma.
Ask Jeff there to give us an explanation.
Jeff, could you use it in a sentence, please?
Well, at the end of the Avengers movie, they're like, "There's a shawarma place over there. Let's go have shawarma." So it's a Middle Eastern meat dish.
Very good. Thank you
Yes.
very much for that. Uh,
You don't have to use it. I'm just throwing it out there.
that's
Okay.
you have to use it. Oh,
We have it's difficult from
Pam has provided difficult. Difficult.
Any more words from the room?
Exquisite.
Shawarma.
Another word from the room? Potent. Thank you very much. Hello. And the fifth word, please. Living. Living. Shawarma. Potent. Difficult. Living. Exquisite. Sorry, I'll read them out in the way that they were called. Shawarma, difficult, exquisite, potent, living. So you have about 15 minutes to conjure up a poem or a little piece of writing, and then it would be great if you come read it. Yeah, so the time starts now. Just another few minutes there. So.
How I was?
Right, so that's the end of our 15 minutes. I hope you had some creative juices flowing. So, like all good art, it's best to make it competitive. So the next part is a challenge, and I'd invite you, if you want, no pressure, to come up and read what you wrote. So how the winner is chosen is by you, the audience. Whoever gets the biggest applause, shouts, hollers, whoever you make the most noise for wins the competition and wins this hat, these books, and a free drink from the bar. So if you could say your name as well when you come up, that would be brilliant. And yes, may the odds be ever in your favor. Anyone want to go first? Sue? Okay, Jeff is going to go first, joining us through Zoom.
Okay, I didn't really want to go first, but I didn't. There was so much dead air. Okay. I had a friend in town named Steph who made a living as a chef. She cooked the most exquisite shawarma, for which she earned some potent karma because she fed it to the poor when they came begging at her door. But then her life turned difficult when all the shawarma lovers pulled a nasty scam on her. They dressed as tramps, with filthy shirts and vests and pants and shoes, just as a way to score free shawarma every day. The stress soon brought her to the edge, and then she jumped right off a ledge. And now the town has no more shawarma. We have to get our meals from the pharma. Tragic. Tragedy.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much. There you go, Sue Blue. Oh, good. I'll fix the mic for you now. Oh, you got it.
All right, so. Okay. Here's Jeff, that got me. Dish of the day. After days of working, I can now sit and eat here. It's warmer under this overhead heater. Shawarma is my choice of meal, with exquisite flavors, a potent deal. It's even a savior in difficult times when the living is simple and pennies are tight. A cheers to this humble dish of the day, while wishing the pimples of tomorrow away.
Thank you very much, Sue. Next up is Clive, joining us from Zoom.
Okay, this might be difficult to do without practicing, but I'll do my best. Being prone to prunerisms, as I am, it was always difficult to make people understand what I meant when I mentioned the shawarma kutra. Being understood can be so difficult when you often make mistakes spend weeking. But I do my best. I do my best. Another thing that I ridiculed about is I thought an exquisite was someone who used to enter those competitive nests of college. I haven't used potent, but I think I'll get away with it.
Thank you very much, Clive. Great stuff. Other people furiously typing, scribbling. Antonio?
Thanks, Shona. Hi all. This poem is called The Living Room. The living room was empty. The eyes were closed. The exquisite voice of the last opera singer made the perfect dress. Potent and majestic like the old times. The melodies could melt even the coldest heart. Difficult was the relationship with the present, a shawarma of mirrors. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Great stuff. Rosie. Yeah.
Over the weekend, I was talking a lot in a rather dubious American accent, and I think it's followed me here tonight. This ain't no poem, because poems is for pussies, but y'all know that already. Sorry, not sorry. Where's it gone? I do got something to say, though, about life, about living. It don't have to be difficult, you know? It can be an exquisite shawarma. De-fucking-licious. Just take a bite and feel impotent.
Wow. It's beautiful. Very good. Julie Goo is joining us on the interwebs.
Hello. Whoa. Dave agus nula chuna Eve Galer. Right. It's a potent, difficult, yet exquisite living, looking after a shawarma bees. That's it. That's it.
Wow. Thank you very much, Julie. That's amazing. Daniel? Oh, sorry. Jim.
The words push their way up to the top of the bog. A shore of poems litter the black banks, flapping pages like a gaggle of swans living on the water's edge. Poems scattered like the wrappers of a shawarma kebab. Exquisite things are always happening beneath the soil. Potent lyrics, like crude oil, are difficult to read. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Cedric?
Thank you. Living in the neighborhood of restaurants is a difficult task when you cannot cook to save your life. It's a true challenge. You would be inclined to make a few cuts in the budget until you must reallocate to first aid those savings made with a knife. The aromas born from talents you do not possess, mixed into the air, form an exquisite elixir received by your hunger. You recognize the smell of a tasty shawarma. It's already the third time in a week. You must not falter. There is nothing more potent than your last pennies chiming in your pocket. Hold your breath and walk forth.
Thank you, Cedric. Great stuff. What's your name?
All the way home. Living is walking with a dog. If you're down, he will wrap himself around you like a potent wine, exquisite off the best vine. That day you don't want to get out of bed, he'll be all over you like the rising sun, up and out of it. That day your difficult co-worker, all red-faced and puffy-eyed, has a rant in your face, he's waiting for you, all happy tail at the door. That day you decide you will look for a new job, he'll take you through the grim grey streets, stall at the Middle Eastern place, lit up like dawn, shawada all the way home.
Thank you very much, Alison. That's lovely. Fionn?
I'll call this How Faithful Should You Be to a Cookbook? I must confess I'm somewhat promiscuous when it comes to recipes, but I keep on returning faithfully to our Lebanese cookbook. Winter chicken, winter tabbouleh, chicken kebab, lamb shawarma, a whole host of exquisite dishes that our friend John gave us as a wedding present 11 years ago. Still married, we're still friends with John, though it's difficult these days to stay in touch since he moved to Spain, but the book is a living presence in our lives. When Brian Keenan was held hostage for 5 years in Beirut, on his holidays, as he now calls it, he was visited by the potent presence of Turlough O'Carolan, despite the blind composer being dead for over 200 years. I too was once visited by Ireland's great harpist while in a tight spot in Versailles train station in 2002, but that's a story for another day.
I really want to hear that story. Great stuff. Massimo from Zoom?
Hey, Maca Market is on 44th and Walnut Street. about 8 blocks from my apartment building. It's right across the street from a mosque, and it's open 24 hours a day. Also, they take food stamps. When the streets are dark and empty, and the city seems to be half asleep, I open the door to Makkah and find a living Mecca. Africans, Asians, Arabs, mostly immigrants and mostly Muslim, often cab drivers working late hours, or delivery drivers taking a break from delivering food to others to get food for themselves. There's nowhere else in the neighborhood to get a lamb gyro, a shawarma cheesesteak, and a giant can of grape leaves or a pound of feta cheese at 3 a.m. in the morning. Nor is there anywhere else to find people from all corners of the world gathered together in the middle of the night. There are tents around the neighborhood where homeless people beg for the day and sleep for the night. Most of them are not immigrants. But very often, I meet them gathered around Makkah. Being the only place emitting light for blocks of darkened street, make its light that much more exquisite and its aroma that much more potent. I came late to Ovale today and almost didn't write a poem because I thought it would be too difficult, until I thought of Makkah Market. Thanks, peace.
Thank you so much, Massimo. That's lovely. Thank you. Roxanne?
What a time to be living. What a time to be. Close your eyes and enjoy an exquisite breath filled of the cold street air and the shawarma smell. Place your hand on your chest. Feel these potent heartbeats. Breathe one more time slowly. Clear your mind. Forget your phone. I'm aware this can be difficult, that it is difficult. But remember, what a time to be living.
Thank you so much, Roxanne. It's lovely. Michelle?
I met my current boyfriend in a number of different ways at the same time, and one of them was buying a plant off him. I guess that's the title. A plant. The Monstera I bought a year ago has been growing exquisitely. Sorry, can I interrupt you? Say genuinely loves shawarmas as well, so that's the way I wrote this. The Monstera I bought a year ago has been growing exquisitely since you sold it to me. Well, charged me nothing, handed it across the counter, something potently living and roaring green that I associate ever since with the black hair you left long that December and the bark to the smile, a waiting sun in your botanic background, and you're thinking in the background about that shawarma after work. After work, I'll show you what the sun did. The Monstera begins to fenestrate on our windowsill, mature. It's difficult to recall who you were when this soil was dry and you were just a stranger. Thank you.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you, Michelle. Pam, I'm online. Hello, Pam.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm using, I'm not pronouncing it right, but that word that Jeff came up with, shawarma, as a verb. Just one moment. Hey, Caroline. Oh, wait, okay. I'll tell her to be quiet when she comes in. But anyway, so, and I'm sort of in the middle of this, but this is how it is so far. She paused amid her difficulties shawarmered by certain rich Republican white men in this United States of America, intent on stripping her of her constitutional rights of living her exquisite beauty, loud and unafraid. Her truth tarnished, reduced to catcalls, her potent power seen as bitchy. Surely she was on the rag. To J.D. Vance, she was a childless cat lady. To Trump, he who claims bragging rights for overturning Roe versus Wade, she was a woman who he would protect. Her body, his choice, parroted by a group of men who need a woman to heal, to feel like a man. She spat in their shawarma.
Thank you so much, Pam. And great. Thanks, Pam. Next up is Sebastian online as well.
Hi. um, so something short. Layers after layers of exquisite flesh stacked upon each other to melt and blend into one being. The difficult art of Lebanese cuisine, the potent scent in the kitchen. The shawarma spins around its axis while the bombs still drop on all things living.
Thanks, Sebastian. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Kieran?
I'd just like to give out a trigger warning. In the second line of this poem, there is some imagery that may be triggering if anybody has experienced sexual assault in the room, and I just wanted to give you a heads up about that. From Europe to the Middle East, we will rape you only for as long as you are useful to us, to begin to digest your exquisite shawarma on windswept Berlin streets, paying half of nothing, licking our lips on your array of spices and fine meats, wind potent as it blows through our hair, living off the fat of the land, licking chili mayo off the back of the hand, enzymes beginning to sizzle, streets leading out of town, to the topographies of terror, feet from the Berlin Wall, only surviving relic of Nazi architecture, in a country using its last genocide as a reason to support another, a museum now, windows above the rotation of even the most optimistic eyeball, difficult to see inside without going inside, hearing the voices that did the deeds, seeing the pictures that sow the seeds, the few who followed, the few who followed. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kieran. Stuff. Anybody else want to have a go? Catherine?
Oh, well. It was the most potent of times. It was the most exquisite of times. Living with a guy who made the winter warmer with shawarma. But spring proved difficult when his kebab grew cold.
Thank you very much. Fantastic rhyming there, shawarma, warma. Anybody else want to take a turn? Going once, going twice? Nobody? Okay, great. That was fab. There's who would have known shawarma was so like a muse. So there's loads of fabulous poems. Everybody had a fabulous poem. There were some that just stood out a little bit. There's two in particular that I think took the crown. If I could, I would give it to both people and split it in half. But as there is only one winner, I will have to give first of all, a considerable mention to Julie Goo online for her very, very inventive use of shawarma and shawarma bees. I think you should get a medal for that and a plaque and an award, but not win the 5-word challenge, just because, you know, I think if you were here in spirit, maybe we would have clutched it, you would have grabbed it. So instead, I think the person who really stole the crowd was Rosie O'Regan. And I want to hear that accent again.
Jesus. This ain't no poem, because poems is for pussies, but y'all know that already. Sorry. Not sorry. I do got something to say, though, about life, about living. Don't have to be difficult. It can be an exquisite shawarma. De-fucking-licious. Just take a bite. Feel impotent.
You should record that for like an affirmation for in the morning. Imagine waking up listening to that. You'd be ready to go out and taste the delicious world. Thank you very much, Rosie, and everybody that joined us on Zoom, who read from Zoom, and everybody that read from in the room here. It was a fabulous 5-word challenge, so thank you very much. We're now going to take a wee break for 10 minutes, and be back in 10 minutes because we're going to be joined by Martina Evans for what I'm sure, no doubt, is going to be a really marvellous reading. So, yeah, enjoy the 10 minutes. Does Martina have books? No, I always forget how to speak.
I actually thought about
The definition veil as well, like isn't there a nicer
I think we should probably just allow that to I don't see any reason to make
You know, in Germany, there's land 6 years. It's a nice story, but that's why like they find it, they have to cut it down. And then just do like 10 seconds. Yeah, I know.
The event will only take about 10 minutes.
Unless you have loads of
It's hard to judge it, like the type of performance. They're much more kind of like,
Oh yes. You can say one after the guest poet. Yeah. So you want to write it? Here. Yeah.
My number?
No, your name. Your name.
My number.
Nombre, name. Constantine. Perfect. Okay.
My number.
No. Just your name. It's fine. Huh? Cork. Cork. Where am I from? Cork. Here. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Which even neon is
That would be the market somewhere. Somewhere you would have to move on.
I did. Where was it again this year? Dublin?
That's the side.
Can you know what you got on? No,
Is the only one who went here. I don't know.
I know Penny was traveling.
The last one in Derry, I think I just was worn out in that journey up. Oh my god. And the venue was like a bus cold, dark, so good.
And the poets
11-hour bus.
It's
too far away.
Derry, yeah.
Put it that way, that's the insanity.
Yeah.
travel half around the fucking world at the same time. To get from one end of the island to the
We got out of the airport and we got stranded in
It's one of the fascinating things I find right is now probably thanks for
Well, that was like, that's very typical. Yeah.
I'll go to water for next week so that we can restore the date when we get back here or something.
What if we all just settle on beach? We all go to the beach.
Like the High Kings going to town.
That's a brilliant idea. No, that's how you sell it, Sean. That's how you sell it. That's literally how you sell it. Look me to the ego immediately.
Yeah, we do it in the Para. Yeah, we can make money out of I'd be up to that. That sounds
New range, yeah. It's definitely more attractive. Last week of November.
Oh, when they walked up that hill,
Wait, did this be wrong? Wait,
one morning me and Shauna went for a walk early in town, and a bunch of guys crawled out of the shop, and they were like, "Captain!" Yeah! We like ran, we like went into this little crab village, we were like this little giant crab village.
It's like a video game where you go into the long place and like get married or you can watch the
Like if your drink's not great, then you're getting everyone a drink.
Oh, I saw, I read about that she's doing this.
I watched that twice and I watched it once online. One of them and I'm pretty sure it's in the and nowadays he's nowadays he's
Have you seen Martina come in?
No, when I
I told you that we got him together. So I told him he's going to be quiet. He's never going to get on back here. I'd rather he left. When
Yeah, I
Yeah, she said it's a short.
really provided some questions in the chat.
Not more than 2.
Sometimes in my forget how to sound when it's sometimes a script, you know, That's okay, I
Kept you going today.
I was like, oh, I like peaced out straight up. I'm sorry about that. He was like, I would like to maybe that on camera.
Hi. Do you have the open mic?
Yes, I do. This is it.
Okay. I'll go here.
Great.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you. Or there's a seat here.
It's just so Paul's been knocking on the door.
And he's done it. Yeah, he's 35. Like, he stays number 1, he's also a
Okay, everybody, welcome back. I hope you enjoyed your wee break, and thanks for joining us again. So I just have a few housekeeping announcements to go through. Ovale aims to maintain a safe space for writers and all attendees. We subscribe to the Arts Council's Equality, Human Rights and Diversity policy, and we ask participants to report any offensive behaviour to Ovale. The 12th to 5th Words International Poetry Competition continues, with the words changing tomorrow at 12 p.m. Our 2024/2025 judge is Lauren O'Donovan, but as you are here in real life, you will get a sneak peek at the words right now. So you have 12 hours head start on everybody. The words are ascend, heron, reclaim, stone, and tame. Please be aware that this event is recorded and will be available to revisit as an MP3 podcast and on video via Ovale's website, social media, and Vimeo channels. The featured guests for our first fortnight event on Monday, the 13th of January, are Jean-Anne Verlee via Zoom and Lauren McNamara in person, and all are welcome to attend in person or online. So Ovale is supported by your donations. And there is a donation jar just here under the horse's head. If you wouldn't mind passing this around, going whichever way. And if you have anything to spare and can donate to the event, that would be fantastic. Or there, you can also donate online if that is more to your fancy. And the PayPal donations can be made via the link on Ovale's website or on Ovale's media pages and things of that nature. So that's all the announcements done. So now on to the exciting part. Not that that wasn't very exciting, but yes. So I'm thrilled to introduce our guest poet for the evening is Martina Evans. Martina Evans is an Irish poet, novelist, and teacher. She grew up in County Cork in a country pub, shop, and petrol station, and is the youngest of 10 children. She is the author of 13 books of poetry and prose. American Mules, published by Carcanet in 2021, won the Piggott Poetry Prize in 2022. The Coming Thing was published by Carcanet in 2023 and was shortlisted for the Derek Walcott Prize for Poetry. She has been an associate lecturer in creative writing at Birkbeck University and University of East London, and a creative writing tutor at the City Literary Institute, Covent Garden, London, for many years. Currently, she is books critic for the Irish Times, and if you can please give a very warm welcome to Martina Evans.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, is that all right? You can hear me? Oh, there's John. Hi. So yeah, it feels very strange to be reading here in the Long Valley tonight, because I'm remembering back many, many years. I'm going back in time, as it's like time traveling. I feel like Rip Van Winkle coming out tonight. So it's lovely to be invited, and it's lovely to see you all here. So I'm just going to kind of get into it. So it's the voice of this character called Imelda, who I've been working with for quite some time, actually. And it's kind of interesting because this book, the underlying subject for the book is, I have to keep an eye on the time, sorry. It's about young girls in Cork, and so it's got themes of. In this book, it's about I suppose about somebody having an abortion, but it's also young people in Cork and drinking in the Long Valley and trying to be punk and all the rest. But when I was writing it originally, because it's the reworking of a novel I did in the 90s, which I wasn't happy with, and when I was working on the original novel in the 90s, I was in Pentonville prison taking X-rays, and so the themes in this are. I'm thinking of life and death. I was thinking of euthanasia and suicide, and I was thinking very much of capital punishment, because you couldn't be in Pentonville prison without thinking of capital punishment, because well, it was very famous people were hanged there, like Roger Casement, and also it was a training school for hangmen, and lots of people were killing themselves in there when I was working there, and it just took a week to train as a hangman, practicing on a dummy, and. Sorry, this sounds very macabre, but thinking about pro-life and people who are pro-life are often very also pro-execution. And our good friend in America, Trump, I think, is planning an execution spree. You know, I think he recently said, what did he say? That women will be protected whether they like it or not, something like that. So it's kind of, all of these thoughts are in my head. And I'm working on something in Pentonville Prison. But this isn't as dark as I've started, so I'm going to lighten it up now. So Imelda's talking, and she's in Cork, and she's hoping nobody can see her, that she's having this mysterious wildlife in Cork, and nobody knows where she comes from, and nobody will see her, but of course that's not true. So her father is Justin, and he runs a pub. And he's had 3 wives, so he's kind of a Bluebeard character. 1. Justin said I'd been seen passing a joint on Patrick's Bridge when I thought I was pure and visible, escaped. But sure, not long was only 12 miles away. Johnny O'Hare turned up at a 21st party on Coburg Street. 2 31-year-olds were holding it 10 years late. He said, "Hello, Imelda," and I said, "I don't know you," and turned my back. In my wet look, yellow anorak under the navy sky, drowning out home, holding seances with red-haired Donny and Dora and Carl near Wilton Shopping Centre. When science became a stranger to me, boiling panic took root. Cork City and Knocklown merged. When one was above ground, the other creaked underfoot. Justin's black tar eyes running everywhere. I'll be judge, I'll be jury, said cunning old fury. 2. Sam Cooke was singing about not knowing much about a science book. And what about the French she took? She's good at French, Agnes said when I walked in, and herself and Justin roasting mushrooms on the range. You'd want to keep away from the mushrooms, Justin said when he saw me. Have you seen the size of you? No, said Agnes. But remember when she took up domestic science and dropped the toast in the poached egg water? I remembered dropping red-hot short-bread fingers, scraping dough off the cracked blue lino, and Justin standing over me, his black eyes. Domestic science, how are you? Turning the other cheek, I said, but I do know that I love you. And Justin said, you've lost the fecking plot. And I said, but that's the chorus of the song you were singing. What song? Said Agnes. 3. Justin said he'd heard I'd dissected a shark with a handkerchief over my face. Did I think I was the Ned Kelly of science? But Ned Kelly has his head in a bucket, and Justin said I could write that down. I hear you're hanging around with a cheap crowd up in Cork. Old Johnny O'Hare asked in the shop what was I doing in Cork, and Justin said, sweet fuck all. And old Johnny O'Hare said, oh right, so I'll have 20 Carls and a box of red matches, and drove off fast in his powder blue Cortina. And he's a fucking wife killer, said Justin, looking after him. Jesus. You can see his beard growing while he's talking to you. Agnes said she said nothing. It hurt her to the quick to be even asked. But someone was giving Justin information, like in a police state. 4. Dora's fierce intellectual, I said. But where did she think she'd get a job with arts? Justin wanted to know. He made arts sound like farts. After I doing science to be sensible like Agnes, She's a bloody female engineer. Can you believe it? Justin said, and I wanted to be unbelievable too. But it wasn't like school where Sister Joseph's wooden table was clean and dry and stacked with sheets of pictures of brains and hearts to be coloured in. Like holy pictures, Venus blue and arterial red, notes on the reproductive system handed out silently. No stinking, no dripping, no dogfish. That desperate army of jaws, was it even fair to them? Should they be slaughtered for our education? I'm thinking about that too, like said Dora. 5. Dora said she'd go straight to England if she ever got into trouble. She was the youngest of 10 and a mistake. And when the priest visited her family, he was bent over, red with the laughing, pointing. Look at the mistake. Hasn't she grown into a fine, strong girl? There wasn't enough love to go round, and only a fool would expect it. Dora was a utilitarian. She said there had to be population control, like for cats. People couldn't go on reproducing themselves like they were only brilliant like, and they were never objective about their own blue-eyed boys. What's the first thing a traveller will tell a married woman when she sits down in her caravan to have her fortune told? Your daughter will be successful in catering, and your son will rise to the top of whatever it is. 6. How did some people always know what to do, like? Dissect a rabbit, cut a plant cross-section for a slide, poach eggs and make shortbread? Silver spoons and confidence from birth. Said Dora, isn't it awful to think there might be no justice? I worried along with Dora. Will the first shall be last? We didn't know. We knew nothing. Just don't add to the population in the name of God, Dora said, and I said I hadn't a notion of it. I could hardly support myself studying the wrong thing. But Justin wouldn't let me do arts. I had to do science. And after that, it was supposed to be computer science, because that was the coming thing. But really, he'd prefer I did nursing, which was the steadiest job of all. I'll keep telling you till I'm blue in the face. Get a bank loan, said Justin, and his face was scarlet, not blue. But I'm sure I'm on the wrong course. Justin cut me off. Anyone who comes along chopping and changing has no character, no backbone. His third wife, Clodagh, told me to go easy on the studying because I was so highly strung, and Agnes said arts was bad for the nerves. Nerves, shouted Justin. No one with nerves could be that fat. Sorry. Old Danny Boy has real depression, and he's like a pull-through for a rifle, coming home with blown-up eyes like an addict after you've been seen passing a joint on Patrick's Bridge. But it was only a rollie washed down with a bottle of Benylin because of the desperate cough I got when I hit the Blue Jetan after I left the convent. And that's why I had to go for the Benylin, for the tickly cough. 8. Justin thought he was the only man in the world with a pain or an ache, and he was always rolling up the leg of his trousers to show me the fat blue branches of his varicose veins snaking round his hairy red leg. Look at that, he said, and I'm not even fat, giving me a disgusted, tarry black look as if I was the one who should have varicose veins. How many weeks did Sean McStephon last on hunger strike, and you can't even get between breakfast and lunch without a pop? I was sure I must be the only girl in Ireland to be subjected to that kind of leg display by her father, and Dora thought she must be the only child in Ireland to be tormented about being a mistake by a priest. So in a way, we were thinking we were extraordinary too. That's youth for you. It doesn't last long. Come take a little breather, and I probably should have said at this stage that it was 1981, so it was coming up to the big, I suppose, abortion referendum was in 1983, the one I really remember, but also the hunger strikes were on. So all through this book, when I was conceiving of it, it was a very long pregnancy, 30 years, but it started in Pentonville Prison, where I was thinking about life and death in all its aspects, and I was thinking of the hunger strikers, because that's another kind of way of looking at life and death. So I'm keeping on the time. So just a little snippet of In the Middle, just to get a bit of music in, and a couple of cats. I should say that Dora and Donnie are the two characters here. They were inspired by my cats. Donnie died sadly last year, and Dora's still going strong. So she is the intellectual. And in fact, Dean knows, he's seen a picture of her watching Twin Peaks only half an hour ago. So I'm just going to read a tiny snippet here and a little bit about Set in the Long Valley, because I have to. And then you'll be released. So 20. Disco was only an embarrassment. The thought of Tom looking over his glasses at the... Oh yeah, so Melda's really worried because, you know, people are going to come round and examine her record collection and she'll be criticised, so you know the story. Disco was only an embarrassment, and the thought of Tom looking over his glasses at the stylistics made me sick. Calm down, said Dora, and I said that Bess said that Ian Curtis died to bring us the music, like, and Dora said, well, I never heard of him, and I said, sure, he hung himself on a clothes horse, and Dora said, that's impossible, and I said, oh God, maybe I'm wrong. But Dora stood by the counter in Curtin's bar, taking her music advice from Pierce Curtin, taping Billie Holiday and Nina Simone. Music was fierce, scary. Carl rattling in his raincoat. What? You fucking like them? And Tom standing there silently fingering his blue button-down shirt. He'd no time for Bob Dylan either. And I was so busy covering my tracks that by the time they came round to see us, I'd no records at all. And they weren't sure what to make of that. So 21. Smokey, Myra Curtin's cat, sat on a stool and Pierce played Billie Holiday, who sounded like a cat. And that was a compliment to Billie from me, even though cat was an insult in Cork. Dora got mad with Carl when he said the Chips and Mandy's were fucking cat. And she said cats were victims of sectarianism, only she wouldn't say if the Protestants were dogs or cats when Tom asked, because that was only more of it. And Smokey had chocolate-coloured tears in his eyes and on his blue-grey cheeks and a spotted red bow around his neck. He looked French. And Myra said, don't ask me a word about that cat and his dark tears, because it breaks my heart. Myra's eyes were on Pierce polishing the same pint glass with a black and cream Guinness tea towel, looking up as if his own words floated on the ceiling. And Dora wrote them all down in a pale green Ashling copybook with a round tower and a flock of swallows on the front. So that's the other life and death thing that's going on, because Smokey's going to have to go for the long walk. And I think for us nowadays, pet owners, I think that's the thing that probably upsets me more than anything, is how to end our pets' lives, and how can we trust vets, and when's the right time, and how if you own a pet, you basically have control over their life at the end. And all these things we're talking, you know, I think about these things all the time, and with the assisted dying bill in the UK and everything else, it's a real hard one. So I'm just going to end with a little bit from the Long Valley. I'm still okay, aren't I?
You've still got 20 minutes.
Really? I've only got about 5 minutes left to read, so.
Probably 15 in total.
Well, if you want me to read a bit more, I'll.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, no, sorry. No, I don't want to kind of go too short. I think maybe I went too short, but I don't. No, I'm just going to be annoying, I think, flicking through the pages. What I'll do is I'll end where I was going to end, and then we can see if we need any more. It's like I don't want flicking around. So 73. What's worse, do you think? Asked Murphy, the existential angst or the existential dread? And I said, can you both at the same time? Dora didn't even answer him now. Her face was round, the American eagle gone. I wasn't coming back to college, but Dora said she would keep studying. Let anyone try to stop me. And then there was a savage roar from the other end of the Long Valley, and a white-haired man in tan corduroy and huge shoes was shouting about the Nobel Prize for poetry. And a young fellow with brown curly hair was holding onto his arm. Humphrey stood alert behind the bar in his white apron, and Murphy said, the poets are at it again. Are there poets in Cork? I asked. And Doris said, that's Jim Houlihan. Don't tell me you never heard me talking about him. And then there was another roar, and Murphy said, looks like he won't be a candidate for the Nobel Peace Prize either. 74. Have you never seen the poets in Café Lorca? Murphy asked. And I only remembered being stuck in Café Lorca with a fellow who said, you'll find a lot of nonsense at the bottom of a milk carton. And Houlihan staggered past and nearly got singed by Dora's fag, and Murph said he'd heard Carl had gone provo since he met Justin. It was true, and Carl's Fine Gael TD father didn't even make Justin mad. It made him very excited. What does he see in her? I heard him asking Clodagh when I was in the bathroom with my fingers down my throat. And Carl told Justin that Johnny Cash was in San Quentin for murdering his mother-in-law, and Justin said he didn't blame him. When they asked granddads for stories about the old IRA, granddad said, John Redmond was a gentleman and they stabbed him in the back. So they had to leave him alone then, smiling to himself. 73. She'll be another life for you now, said Justin, his brown eyes like drinking chocolate. Thank God you saw sense. I bought 2 nurses' uniforms from the special shop and a wide navy belt with metal clasps. I pulled it tight. And Johnny O'Hare came in wearing a grey double-breasted suit, holding a bundle of VHS tapes to his chest. And Justin said, she's finally off my hands, after I paying for myself with the money from Larry's will. And I went red, remembering when I'd pretended not to know Johnny, but he winked at me when Justin said Carl was very down-to-earth for who he is. Justin didn't like the wink. Do you know who Carl is? And Johnny said he did, and could he have 2 packets of Ayr oxtail soup? He'll be the makings of her, said Justin. Time will tell, I squeaked. But even Johnny didn't seem to be listening. He just wanted his soup. So that's kind of the end, but yeah. I feel now that I've kind of been like disingenuous, going like, oh, I'm not going to read for long, force me. So I'll just read a little bit. So they go over to Brixton, and I'll just do a tiny bit. So it's a bit of a dark end. It's going to end with the Long Valley, but we're back in London anyway. 63. We only had the address. Carl got the name of the clinic from some girl who didn't want to be brought into it. And I asked if it was different from the one at the back of Cosmopolitan. And Carl said, should they're blacked out in the Irish Cosmopolitan? And I'd never looked, had I? Carl was under massive strain, and I had an alias. What next, said Dora. But Carl said it was a great idea. My name is Jackie Clark, I said, as we left the bed and breakfast, and then I had to sit down on the stone steps of a 4-story house in Pentonville to put my head between my knees. I asked Carl if he thought it was right. Is it really like I said? And he said, we've paid now. So we went down into the underground at Holloway, and the noise of the tube went through my stomach as if I'd swallowed the tracks. At King's Cross, I looked down the steps of the escalator moving like a long, elongated mouth, and I was afraid to put my foot in it. I didn't think I could, didn't want to be carried down so deep. And a man in a bowler hat barked, move, and Carl put his hand on my back and told the man he'd no manners. I stepped on sideways, looking at a poster for the mousetrap, because if I looked down, I knew I would fall. And the tube map comforted me in the carriage, sky blue for the Victoria line, I said to myself. And then I wanted to stay underground. I was like a mole prized from a burrow when Carl said, next stop, Brixton. And I followed on, following the A to a Z to the tall red brick. In Cork, the red brick was the madhouse where Justin said he was sure he'd been driven by my carry-on. And a man in a suit came out with a sobbing blonde woman, and I stopped walking. You're doing brilliant, said Carl. I don't think so, I said, looking at the woman who seemed way too old for this. We're here now, he said, and I moved again, no longer a small mole, but a giant stumbling cow. And then I was in a prefab, and it was like Benetton's, and all the girls were tanned and very good looking, and their pink and orange and blue sweaters had fuzzy halos from the morning sun coming through the windows. They were quiet, turning the pages of Woman's Realm, Woman's Own, Cosmopolitan, but I heard two of them speaking Spanish. They seemed worldly wise, and I wondered what Murphy meant when he asked Dora, "Is reproduction the cheapest method of recruiting moral agents?" And Dora said, "You don't know what you're fucking talking about, boy." But I liked Murphy asking questions, and then when I looked around for Carl, he was gone. I woke screaming and struggling and asking them to leave me alone. They'd something inside of me. "Tranquilo, tranquilo," said the Spanish girls, upset for me. I wanted them to stay, but Sister drove them away. "Leave that girl alone," she said. She poured a glass of water to wash down 2 small yellow circles of Valium, and I slept for a while, and then she woke me, and Carl was on the phone from the pub where the wedding crowd went after Hackney Town Hall. And Murphy's cousin really was getting married, and she was wearing the Cork colours, red and white. "The blood and bandage," Carl said. He sounded drunk. And I stood on the blue tiles of the cold hallway, and I wondered who owned the yellow dressing gown I was wearing. Ghost Town was playing at the other end, and I could hear myself crying like an echo down the line. When I came out, I couldn't remember if it was morning or evening. I was with everyone except Dora, and I was laughing like mad, and we went down 2 flights into Ward's Irish house in Piccadilly. I wanted to be underground. I wanted to stand on the tube platform and feel the fierce wind. Ward's had pale green and white tiles because Tom said it had been an Edwardian lavatory, and the counter was silvery metal, and they had draft Guinness, and I had to sit on a barrel that was digging into me, and I believed that was pure justice. And Carl bought me a pint, and we took blues again, only I didn't go up, I went down and vomited 3 times. And Carl said it was a pity we didn't have a camera for a photograph of ourselves in front of the statue of Eros. And Tom said, "She's probably had enough of Eros now." I'll leave it at that.
Thank you so much, Martina. That was wonderful. If you're okay, would you mind if we do like a very short Q&A? Perfect. So, you know, the way in the newspaper they normally put out like ask our readers, and the readers send in questions to ask. Today I wanted something interesting to ask you, so I put it to the board of Avail to ask for some questions to ask you, and esteemed poet Billy Ramsell provided these questions. So
Billy what?
yeah. So the first question is, do you think of yourself as a poet of place, and is Burnfort and North Cork an inexhaustible source of inspiration for you? Do you want to pop back up here?
I wish I'd got it before. You should have told me when we were down below, Billy. I think it is, but I think places are just piled up on top of each other, and I think they merge, because I start and I talk about Knocklong being underground and Cork, and it was really interesting. I found a diary that I kept when I was working in Pentonville Prison about a couple of years ago, and it's part of a poem I'm writing now, and I realised that a lot of the stuff that was in The Coming Thing had come out of it, because, for instance, I was thinking of Dora as a utilitarian, and Pentonville Prison was built on that panopticon system, where you have the constant watchful eye, and Justin has the constant watchful eye, and so it may seem autobiographical, but it's also very fictional. So like there's a lot of layering. For instance, I realised that Justin, you know, he's very dark and tall, and I took the physical model for him from one of the doctors in Pentonville, actually. And the stinking and dripping of the dogfish that they were dissecting in UCC was also the stinking and dripping in the dark room of Pentonville Prison, which was like vile. And that I was thinking about how people who are pro-life are also very pro-execution. And all of those things came back, and I realised that Pentonville Prison was in here as well as Cork. And the thing is, I wrote this book, I drafted it when I was in Pentonville Prison in the 90s, and it was part of a 2-book deal which I had to deliver, and I was still working as a radiographer, and I was exhausted, and I didn't like what I had to hand in at the end of 2 years, and it like nearly killed me. So rewriting it as a poem I needed to do that to make it right. But when I took the old novel it came out about 97. I'd been in Pentonville in 93, 95. I didn't really remember what was truth or fiction. And I fictionalized it further. So it's kind of interesting. So I don't know what's true or real. And it really does come out of place. And it's weird that you asked that question, because that's all we spoke about. When I met Billy down in the bar, I was talking about being attracted to the river in London and moving closer to the Thames because of Dickens, because Dickens was in my head because of his relationship with prisons. And then I arrive and Paul's put me up in Leonardo's, and I'm looking down at the Lee and thinking how important that is. And I think in London there's lots of those Georgian houses are very like the houses in Cork. We were talking about where the military lived and everything, and so sometimes, and London's on a river and Cork's on a river, and all the importance of the merchants in the city of London, and Cork is a merchant city. I think they all kind of merge in my mind. So I think the place is really important. And I remember when I reworked this a few times, and I remember I got a map of Cork and I just laid it under the pages when I was writing. I didn't look at it, I just thought let it just kind of drift up. And then I drew a kind of a physical map of Cork on top of that, because the visual is really important for me as well. And then I came out in the morning and the foxes had all nibbled holes in the maps. And I'm going to end on this one thing is, and I'm just thinking of John Mee, and he had a poem about a cat which reminded me of that fellow we did in school, Reardon, Sean O'Riordan. And the fox is very active. And I had a book of Sean O'Riordan, the great Cork poet who wrote Coolum Tea, and I showed it actually to Alpha. I left it overnight in the garden, and when I came out, the foxes had just completely nibbled it, and they put all these paw marks like autographs on it. And it was like they knew about on Coolum Tea. It was the back of the house, and it was chaos. And yeah, so I don't know if that makes any sense to anyone. Yeah, it's all just jumping around. Thank you. I mean, it's so special to be here. Thank you.
Thanks a million, Martina. That's wonderful and really inspiring as well. And you read from the book The Coming Thing, which I know I will be going to source tomorrow, and people will be getting that for Christmas. So thank you very much. That was wonderful. And give it up for Martina. I hope you had a nice homecoming, and you're very welcome to return to the Long Valley, and it's a real privilege to hear you read. So thank you very much. Now we're going to have a wee break to relish in all the great stuff we just heard. After that, we will have the open mic. If you would like to read something on the open mic, please come put your name on the open mic list, and then you can read later after the break. So thanks again to Martina, and enjoy your break.
Thank you.
So bad about how much you read more.
There's the cue.
She was great, wasn't she? Oh my God, so witty with her words. Katrina. Oh, right, yeah.
We met because that table was downstairs. I mean, there was 5 of us sitting downstairs, and then when we made it up, like soon after people started piling in on top. It was a good timing. We went up then and not later because we wouldn't have found seats anymore. How are you, Phil?
I'm good, how are you?
Oh, yeah.
Is this who's going first? It's up here, is it? It's that order.
The earth. Put your name down. Reading is good. If you don't want to read at the start, put it down further up.
Okay.
If you want to squeezed in and ultimately,
I think I better go
When she's been defaced by David Bowie.
Yes.
It's a good day when you defaced it.
First off, that's crucial. I presume someone's going to go ahead of me.
Are they going to sign out? Yes, Elaine. Alex. Oh, thanks. And the third place.
Are you opening?
No, I think.
C'est la question. C'est la question.
I love it. We get more, and I'm saying more and more. People get global and go back to Cork, like, getting narrower and narrower. Yeah, so it's the whole world as well, you know? So the whole conjured up the whole media. I did not know I got the impression that was an abandoned work, right? But it must have come up. Yeah. But obviously it's got a second life.
Yeah, Paul, I'm gonna head home on the bivouac. Yeah.
It's okay. I'll take it off there for you.
Thanks a million. Sorry, apologies for
Yeah.
that. I need to go to bed. Thank you.
Cut
It's
us off.
lovely.
Recovered from your winter warmer.
So yes, still it's strange after 3 days there. Hearing words and poems. Goes always a little bit. This is what happens to me. I have always in my head after wandering for a while before coming back. Yes. Is that a good thing? It's yeah. This is sometimes especially now that everything is concentrated doing things, this and that.
Oh, yes.
Do you need to go early?
No.
No?
Yes, because you in that, let's say, wandering, you want to at least I see it in this way. It's almost now impossible doing complete staying without doing anything.
Such a natural reader, you know.
You have to go in there?
No, I don't want to go at the end, man. Jesus.
No, so it's messing up. You don't have to.
I don't go second last either. It's too.
Okay.
Fuck it. Can
I don't care. I really don't care. Seriously, I don't care.
There's a gap there. Look at the music in there.
The long lines, man. Those long lines.
There's something about building the language up to, you know, just finding the movement in like seemingly ordinary speech, you know, like the dialogue and that voice, but it's just so lyrical as well, you know. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Kind of dry scene in a way, but
Cork dry scene. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I've
Perfect.
7 Zoomers in there. I'm gonna try and get another person here.
Perfect. Great stuff. Cool. What time? I didn't keep track of what time I left at. There was 22 minutes past. What time did we?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that she read so short
Yeah.
is like, we're not under pressure to start now. But, like, you don't leave it too long either.
Yeah, like
you know,
5 minutes?
Yeah, within 5 minutes, I'd say.
Great. Hey, do you want to add your name?
it's a little bit long, but it's not too long. It can probably be. Is there a kind of, have you line limits or time limits on these?
How long do you think it is? Like, usually, we kind of limit it to 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. At the end of that. Yeah.
Around that? Yeah, fine, yeah.
Yeah, as
Very
long as
fast,
it's
and
not
it's a
over
Christmas
5.
poem as well, so
Yeah,
it's the only one I
very
have.
good.
Like, so,
Great stuff.
Will I put it in? Have you?
Yeah.
You've room left, do you?
Yeah, there's room here.
Right, perfect. My big black captains.
Perfect.
Right.
Great stuff.
Thanks,
Thanks a
man.
million, Owen.
You sold that space well.
See if anybody else wants to go on it. Yes, this is open mic list. This one. Or else there's room here if you want to go earlier.
Now, I'll go down and find the poem on my phone.
That was my reaction. And then what do you think? You get so much pride. I actually responded. still a teenager at that. Yeah, and then like it's a joke. They I dare you to look at Harry and say, are you my dad? Yeah, I knew what it was straight away. I knew it. You know,
Yeah,
instantly he's there.
I was waiting for something to happen.
You know, right? I'm over to that. I'm over to that. And they come right for it.
All bullets are thieves.
Yes,
Especially of pens.
It's the same thing with smokers and lighters.
Yes, that's true. I'd say yeah.
I'm making myself
I told her I'm going to write bread all over. She said we won't write bread all over. She has a bit
I'm just writing that down.
The best is still coming.
Okay, everybody. I would ask for everyone to please settle themselves. I have an announcement to make, which is a bittersweet announcement, I'm afraid. So if I could please have everybody's attention. Ovail is 18 years old, nearly. It will be 18 on in April, and it's on its anniversary event. And this anniversary event of Ovail will be the last Ovail event of this kind, of our live events. It is 18 years old, and Paul, our wonderful captain, who has brought us all together here for the past 18 years. It feels like the right time for it to come to an end in the form that we know it. Ovale will still continue on in terms of the unfinished book of poetry and Ovale's poetry films. But as we gather here the second Monday of every month, or every Monday as it was for a long time, I'm afraid that this will be the end of it. Yeah, so it's really sad. It's had such a impact on so many people's lives and the literary community, but it's been amazing, the people that come here all the time, and it is like a lovely family. And I cry at this microphone so often, and I think this is going to be another one of those times. But I just want, I think from all of us, I know it's probably a shock to people, and it's going to be a lot to kind of take in. And it is really sad in one way, but it's really amazing in many other ways that the event has gone on for this long and has built such a community and has built a family, not just here, but also all over the world, the people joining us all over the world. And that wouldn't have been possible without having such an amazing person at the helm of it all. So just, I want to stress our love and appreciation and respect and everything for Paul Casey, who has been running the event for 18 years. And to everyone joining us here, we have 4 more events after this one, so I'm sure they're going to be rocking, and they're going to be amazing. And when one door closes, a window opens or something. That's not correct, is it? But exactly, who knows, But for now, we'll. I want to say holding space, but that's a very overused term these days, but hold space for just how brilliant Ovale is and how lucky we are to have it, and what a great space it is for everybody. And yeah, just relish in these last, either tonight included, the last 5 events up until the anniversary event in April, which will be the last one. So yeah, it's kind of big news. So sorry to be the messenger of that, but yeah, it's been an amazing ride, I'm sure, and we will make the most of the next few events, and we're very lucky to have it here in the first place, and it's been amazing. And I think a lot of people, like, it birthed a lot of writers in Cork, as well as providing a lovely home for the writers of Cork. So it will be sorely missed, and there will be a big Ovale shaped hole in all of our lives and hearts. But for now, we're going to keep filling that hole with the open mic. And first up is Bernadette McCarthy joining us from Zoom, who is also going to read a poem by Mags Creedon, who can't be with us here tonight. So thank you very much, Bernadette. Get away.
I hope you can hear me, can you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I'm not there in person. It's just not possible. And I'm actually really shocked to hear that news, because the Ovale has had such a profound impact on myself and so many others. And thank you to everyone at Ovale, Paul and everyone, for what you do. And I won't waste time. So Mags, most of you know her, and I know it's not possible for her to be there tonight, but I'm sure she'd love to know everyone was thinking of her, and I'm certainly thinking of her. So I'm going to read a poem of hers from 5 Words 2020 to 21. And if there's time, I'll read one of my own, but don't worry if not. All hail. On this day, to the warriors, the ladies, all hail. The suffragettes, the Amazons, the gladiators, the trailblazers, the enclosed, the cloistered who offer it all up, sip by sacrificial sup. To the goddess Venus and her birthday shyness, arcing from her shell, forever frozen, alabaster like a pearl. The Botticellis, the Toulouse-Lautrecs, the Gustave Klimts and brocades and jeweled colors and cloaks of mosaic in stucco light relief, in gold leaf, to the social activist reformers cynical of the suits, who maintain their sanity, challenge complacency in pursuit of ubiquitous sloths, to the poor perium, the vessels of the seed, the silent in their waiting chamber, to the vocal, tough when they need to be. All mothers are amazing. Some struggle to stay sane. To those with discipline, fair play. To those who fight their trials every single day, who stay to battle in their painful corner, to goddess Danu, to the deity of the Paps, the woman of New Grange, who welcomes sun at solstice, summit equinox, to Bridget of the Cross, St. Gubnet of the albino deer of bees, to that domestic goddess on a budget, while himself sinks off for beer. Well done to all the women who made me what I am, an inspiration to Judge Judy, Kamala, to Oprah, to every trafficked woman, every prisoner of conscience. All hail. So that was Mag's poem. She would do a much better job, of course, and she'd probably even play the guitar, but I hope she'll appreciate my poor efforts when she listens back. And I'll read a short one of my own called The Cock Pheasant, and I'll dedicate it to the people of Syria. I saw a god of moorgrass one January night, unknotting his wheaten legs from the gate pier, wings fanning out like a standard, commanding me to bow. Instead, I would solve the riddle of his innards, slopping his lights and liver into a bucket. The dogs would pick up the carcass later. I hung him from a nail in the shed, hoping a fox would take him by morning, so I would not have to know the Lord I ate. But women's Christmas dawned on the blank marble tablet of his gaze, his plumage copper red as the end of civilization. As hurrying for the spuds, I plucked it out in fistfuls. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Bernadette, for your own poem and for reading Mag's poem. We all miss Mags very much, and hello, Mags, if you're watching this back, you're much loved, and sending you lots of love. So thank you very much, Bernadette. And next up is Antonio de Mare.
Thank you. Thanks. I didn't know that wasn't pretty much unexpected now, this news. I will write something about that. And this poem is called Dispersion. The orange crown is placed on the head of the hill. Never a sky has been so empty and still. A breath is a whisper on the divergent early morning blue. Even the grief is light, a feather, balancing the dark side of the sun. In its dispersion, a bomb commits an involuntary act. Are always circumstances that makes something explode. A house on the distance has 3 lights outside the windows. They fight against the sunrise. But beside that house, there are other 2 close by. Initially seem connected, but then they start to fly. Sometimes the sunlight is a blink in the eyes. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Antonio. Great stuff. Next up is Elaine.
So this is my first time speaking at this event, so I'm glad I got in there before it finishes up. So this poem is called Ghost Like. Okay, we met in the corridor, this ghost-like child and I. Her body is heavy, her light a mere flicker. I had been told that her dad had been ripped from her life in the worst possible way. Had he known her imminent suffering, might he have stayed? But despair cannot think beyond the end of despair. He was lost, and now so is she. She surprises me with a smile, seemingly forgetting for a moment darkness that has claimed her. I return her smile. I see her pain, but I cannot help. Like a mirror, my heart is burdened and heavy. We continue on our way, two ghosts walking the corridor. Years later, she still haunts me, the memory kept alive in these lines. I wonder, how is she, and did someone reach her? Yeah.
Thank you, Elaine. Thank you very much. Next up is Jeff Cottrell.
So I'm also very sad to hear the news that the Ovale series is ending. I'm very happy I got to be there live in person once. And I'll give you this one. This is called Lazy Book Reports. The best part in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is when the monster cries, "I am Frankenstein!" And then he goes and kills and eats everybody because he's pure evil. The best part in Bram Stoker's Dracula is when the vampire says, "Blah, blah, I want to suck your blood." And then he goes and sparkles all over the place and counts everything he sees. The best part in Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice is when the mother says to her daughter, "Rich men always want to get married." And then the daughter goes and marries that guy because he's so rich and handsome. The best part in William Shakespeare's Hamlet is when the prince holds up the skull and proclaims, "To be or not to be." And then he goes and gets shit done because he's a badass who gets results. The best part in T.S. Eliot's The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock is when the guy sings his beautiful love song, and then all the women come and go, and he just can't get away from them because he's a hot stud full of mojo. The best part in Bernard Shaw's Man and Superman is when Superman swoops down and saves the man from General Zod, and then everybody cheers because it's so exciting. No talk, all heart-stopping action. The best part in Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse-5 is that awesome callback to Slaughterhouse-3, which was the best one in the series, because it had all those cool battle scenes and heroes who kick ass and say, "That's the way it goes." The best part in Tennessee Williams' A Streetcar Named Desire is when the dude runs out and screams, "Stella! Stella! I love you, Stella!" And then she goes and gives him a smooch, and it's all so sweet and romantic. The best part in Charles Dickens' David Copperfield is when the man calls out to the crowd, "I am the hero of my own life." And then he goes and does more cool magic tricks, and all the orphans cheer and cry, "I want some more." The best part in William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet is when the girl stands on the balcony and calls, "Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?" And then he goes and jumps out and says, "Here I am," and they live happily ever after forever. The best part in Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion is when the flower girl dances and sings, "The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plain." And then she goes and falls in love with the professor because they're so perfect for each other. And the best part in Sesame Street's The Monster at the End of this book is when the big scary monster eats Grover at the end. Thank you. That was Lazy Book Reports.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks very much. Next up is Dean Brown.
Hello. Big news. I'm 30 years old now, and the first time I ever read in Cork, I was 18 here. So doesn't feel that long. Well, it wasn't recent or anything, it was March, but like, I mean, it's the principle. And the first time I ever had like the opportunity to read a bunch of poems together was through Paul at a Winter Warmer in the old Foss building, as some of you may remember, back in 2015. So yeah, that's a big thing to process. But I hadn't planned on reading, except Martina read some cat poems and mentioned the cats, and we happened to exchange some cat Insta cat pornography type, like there's a phrase for it. I just can't think what it is. Catography, whatever it is. You know, like those porn star cats of Instagram. You know, like those type photos. Yeah. Well, so this poem is to reciprocate that, and it's called To Fill and there is a note just for a bit of context. It's called To Fill and Fill was a stray Parisian cat selected by scientists for the French space program. Known as C341 herself, she survived the proposed suborbital mission, and in 1963 became the only cat to have ever gone to space. 2 months later, she was euthanized so that an autopsy could be performed and her brain studied to see the effects on her of this mission. And the scientists concluded later that they learned nothing from it. So this is To Filicet. The French did you dirty, Filicet. Scooped you up from the scrappy, unneutered boulevards where you'd spat at a cabal of horny toms, or sullied the white socks of your luscious, flea-ridden tucks, lapping, with relish, rancid leftovers in the back streets of bistros, letting the busboy scratch you behind the ear, or pinning, for fun, a butterfly under your paw, with the moon at the correct distance. An arrogant purpose attended your capture, not even your potent nose, your vigilant instinct for danger could have divined. Even now I can just see your distressed shedding and the lit black of your eyes, as those moon men handle you dispassionately as a specimen upon which to experiment, implanting their electrodes, graphing your impulses. Forget them, Filicet. C341 is no name, and Felix misgendered you, love, and aboard the Veronique AG-1 rocket ship as the payload disarticulates, parachute or no, is no place for a cat. One like you, particularly lovely, particularly liable to be let filch a bit of the Gruyere, or a bristle with need for affection or feeding, to step blithely on the heads of sleepers, to nudge them awake. What can I say, Filicet? The moon is an ossuary, and its valentines have chilly ways. I'm glad those Frenchmen learned sweet fuck all when they prodded your brain, old girl, could dream only you for a moment in space, weightless, and what you saw took with you.
Thank you very much, Dean. Great stuff. Next up is Roxanne.
So this is that was born literally half an hour ago, and this is called The Year of the Two Scarves. One scarf for sorrow, one for love, one for comfort after the tears, the other to remember strong hugs. So much great this year. October 2, January 2, April, oh, one first scarf. April 1, November 2. Some expected, some clearly not. It all gives way in grey hair, despite the smile. Drink this coffee, experience the new state, the new taste. Dance 10 more minutes under the rain. You will always get over the cold. Learn new skills and add them to your resume, please. The tricks your brain play fade, and you hold your needle like the queen of spades. Count the stitches, make mistake, repeat. There will always be a scarf.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. Next up is Cedric Picant.
Yeah, 4 years ago. That's I started to read here. Actually, I sort of started to write here too. So it's a big page, big chapter to end, and page being turned, which is convenient. We are poets, so we do turn pages. So let's put some ink on them, some more. So this poem is a poem about making crepes, which is actually not a poem about making crepes. A traditional recipe. He never made crepes for us. I would never ask him for the eggs, the flour, the milk I drink, the butter that moistens the creams. I never wondered how to make the batter, when to beat the eggs, then to add sugar to soothe them, the flour to thicken it all, some fat in good measure to keep the pan clean. I learned much later to have rum at the ready. Pour one in, then some in the batter. All lay flat, despite the whipping. He knew that dry flour, much better than we yet realized, was not meant to inflate. The beating is to rise in proper taste. That rye batter won't taste good without vigorous beating, or dark that it is. The batter does not remember the whisk. Only the scorching pan marks the forming dish. I do not forget the blueberries and cream anymore. I place them diligently when it's done. I keep the rum to myself nowadays.
Thank you very much, Cedric. Next up is Sue Blue, please.
How to follow that? How to follow that? Jeez, I guess we're all I guess we're all feeling that pang of upcoming not seeing each other. Like, I mean, guys, we're gonna have to keep in touch, everybody. I would like to read a poem that is not by myself, but I translated it. And I chose it from the three I brought for the mood, which I think it's suitable. So it's by, excuse me, it's by Rainer Maria Rilke. And I'm gonna do
him the honor of reading his poem first, and I'm going to follow up with my translation. Herbsttag. Herr, es ist Zeit, der Sommer war sehr groß. Leg deinen Schatten auf die Sonnenuhren und auf den Fluren lass die Winde los. Befiehl den letzten Früchten voll zu sein. Gib ihnen noch 2 südlichere Tage, dränge sie zur Vollendung hin und jage die letzte Süße in den schweren Wein. Wer jetzt kein Haus hat, baut sich keines mehr. Wer jetzt allein ist, wird es lange bleiben, wird wachen, lesen, lange Briefe schreiben und wird in den Alleen hin und her unruhig wandern, wenn die Blätter treiben. Autumn Day. Lord, 'tis time, for the summer is grand. Lay the shades on the dials of the sun, and let the winds blow on the open land. Order the latest lush fruit to grow fine. Give them 2 warmer days to come round. Push them to the perfection and hound the latest sweetness into the heavy wine. Those without a home won't build one now. Those alone will stay so for a while. Will wake and read, write letters that compile, and then shall wander on the tree-lined roads in restless striding where autumn leaves blow.
Thank you very much, Sue. Great stuff. I will just mention as well, in case anybody was running away afterwards, we will be continuing the festivities of the festive season in Arthur Mains after we're done here. So you're all invited and encouraged and welcome to come along. So don't go anywhere. But we have lots of more great poets on the open mic, and I'm going to switch over to Zoom now, and we're going to get Paul Donegan.
This poem is called 2:40 a.m. Sailing at Fishguard. Travelling to meet my mother's coffin, I, my partner, my brother and his son waited in the early hours to board ship in Wales till the ferry opened like a whale's jaw. Everything was going to plan for the funeral, after all. And now we stared at and spurned overpriced snacks before laying down on uncomfortable cafe seats and trying to sleep. I thought of her coffin on its solo trip by hearse on the crossing to Belfast, then Kinsale, a parallel route to ours to bring her home, resting my head on a rolled up jumper as the boat headed into an immense dark, but guided by light and on a steady course. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Paul. That was lovely. Great. Next up is Barbara.
Okay. I have commissioned myself to do this. It takes a lot of courage. It's my first time. So, thank you. I did read this. This is a poem that I wrote for my mother, and I read it at her funeral mass. So another thing to note, to just comment, I'm a newcomer here, and just to say there's such solidarity here. So it's very accepting, and thank you. Raven's Song. We sit, you and I, alone, waiting, two raven feathers glistening. I remember the sheltered path, sometimes shadowed, sometimes fair, and not so long ago you featured in my dream, resplendently garnered on a white horse, bequeathing sheathed might of the feathered flow, delicately mastered to settle for the final path of destiny's remembrance fulfilled. How well we travelled, you and I, the final furlong found along a way, in solaced bay by raven salutes, those smoky blue stars along your way, the silver-lined wings of gold-swathed mane flown free. Farewell. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara, and you're most welcome, and well done. That was really great. And thank you for sharing that with us. You're most welcome here this evening, and anybody else who's new here. Whilst Ovale will be ending as we know it in April, there could be chances of, another night continuing on, with the same solidarity, the same crew, the same family. So whilst it is sad that Ovale has become an adult and is going off into the world, there's maybe room for something new to be come out of such an amazing thing that we have here. Yeah. So don't despair too much, folks. Whilst it is very sad, I will miss it terribly. Next up is Patricia Walsh.
This is called Their Feet Shall Face the Rising Sun. I watched through a blur. The common ground dictates where the bland suicides populate the times of a northern soul. Yes, I had that idea. I clean up nicely in place of dominion. The antiquated wine reflects hard positions. It's not my problem to lose and be lost. The spoke sandwiches meet the illegal online. Voxy as it is, made towards existence. A corner clock, a knock through to the gills. The couple beside me advertising Liverpool. Caught in the briars of time for this year. This is my curse reward. Speaking nothing else. Good? Yes. Being glorious as it sounds. The dark star's curse roll over the zone. My direct speech doesn't cut it anymore. The poison beyond tarnish. Lining up the persuaded. How to finish the church bells. I design, works for the masses. Another roll in the hay. Not to let me embrace, however desired. The scurrilous shock is a famous failure. Taking the fun out of duty, reading in the months, plagiarized enjoyment is all that is arranged. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Great stuff. Great. Next up is Billy Ramsell.
Thanks, Shauna. I'm going to read a poem set in a small town in northern Spain. It doesn't matter what the town is. And it's near the Pyrenees in Catalonia. And it's set, this poem is set during a street party festival, a fiesta, if you will, a get together on the streets. And the festival in question is Castañada, which takes place in October. It's a chestnut festival where many chestnuts are, you would see many chestnuts being cooked on the streets by chestnut vendors, and it celebrates the autumn. Usually falls around Halloween. In the great tradition of Spanish poetry, I'll read it from my phone. Chestnuts black and blister, their obsidian scent disseminates through the swaying streets of Hostafrancs, past the puppet show and the temporary dance floor, past the accordion band stumbling into the hunter, then the mountains of Provence. And Senor Figueres on the mandolin has had better Octobers as he grins and dutifully strums. But he hasn't been right now, has he? Since that business with his kidneys 2 summers ago. Or was it the summer before that? It's getting so hard to keep it all straight. And the scent of the chestnuts just keeps getting stronger, transitioning through the cold bronze of October, over the hook a duck stand and the fortune teller's wagon, over Senor Valls greeting Senor Quintana, Bona Castañeda, Bona Castañeda. The festival's gone to the dogs, they agree, since old Poe was expelled from the committee. And the young, they just don't care for a simple get-together anymore, too lost in their headphones and screens. And the chestnut scent propagates, deliberate, slow. It's the scent of the first cave, far, far back, the scent of dusk and possibility. Insatiable, it filters down through Henrique Square, settles in curlicues almost visible, in soft strands upon the banyan tree and the ancient jacaranda tree, and the teenagers listless, long-legged, are too young for the discotheque still, and Senor Sanz has been drinking since noon again, in the olive-scented womb of Bar del Codicia, and the widow Pax clasps the railings of her balcony. Where did they come from, these terrible hands? And winter just keeps happening earlier, those winds blundering down from the ignorant Pyrenees. And the square won't be long filling up now the twilight has dropped like a bomb. And how have you been? How nice to see you. I don't think I've seen you since Christmas. And thank God the tourists are gone at last, gone until April at least. And you East Sands have been stuck in the 5th division for 15 or 17 seasons now. And will little Alba be up for communion next year? And will the peach factory acquire new management? And will Enrique ever come back from America with his overfed Anglophone sons? And the scent of the chestnuts finally falters, stalls by the flaking carousel, as the pink and green electric bulbs turn more slowly, yet more slowly still, as the children shriek and remonstrate, dismount in glittering disappointment. Is that all there is? Is that all there is? Then fresh, expectant riders are fixed to those wooden thoroughbreds, are shunted into motion by hard-faced, fastidious men, those stunted men that make the world go round, faster and faster and faster.
Muy bien, muchas gracias, señor Ramsel. Thank you very much. Next up is Phil Spillane, please.
Thank you. Sure, lots of people said it already and very beautifully put already as well. Said it as very inspiring. Thank you very much. As you all, very inspiring. I didn't know, but if there's other people that want to run an event and need an extra 2 hands, an extra mind, I want to help. I want to help because Ovale changed who I am, changed me for the better. There's things that happened to me very recently that were out of my control, and I think if I didn't go to Ovale, I don't know where I would be. So I think maybe some people are similar to that, and thank you, Paul, and thank you everyone here. Thank you. But as Cedric said, we're poets, we turn a page, we put ink in it. Something like that. So it's turn pages. That's not me, that's Cedric, 100%. Anyway, I just wrote this. If the first stars come from Ishnag, do the last drown in the waves, washed up on war-torn countries, as silky skins with their hides confiscated, cold and stranded, on the beaches of outer space. I'm nothing but dust, stardust. I'm nothing, so it doesn't matter. It's dark matter between oceans. I feel I carry a universe of other mythologies. If people ask where I'm from, I come from the molting moon. If they ask where I'm from High Brazil. It only appears when all the Irish traffic lights turn red at the same time. Maybe I come from everywhere. I just had to find where I belong. As this star sets on the shortest winter solstice, it ends as a short poem. I'm not trying to write about what's going on in the world. I write about what's going on in my head. This needs a lot of work, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Phil. I think you made my mascara run, so I'm mad with you. Next up is Sebastian Revon on Zoom, please.
Hey. Thank you. So it's sad. It's my first time, thanks to the hybrid event, to participate in that Oval event, and I learned that it's ending in April. But something else will come up, and I'd like to thank Paul for everything that he did, even if I'm a newbie here. I'll read a poem called Shine. It's not too long. Shine. The light of the sun is not yours. It is not the corolla of dandelions in your garden, the canopy of nearby woods, the first blackbird song, nor the silences that surround it. It is not the sound of waves, the gust of wind, the gentle breeze. It is not your first kiss, the first steps of your daughter, the first smile of your grandson. It is not to feed you, to glorify what you achieve, to contrast with the night. It is not to end your sorrows, to erase your flaws, to cradle you. Now, imagine the number 8, laid sideways on its edge, and become the line that draws it. Move along, gently curve to take the bend. Reach the center. Feel its pulse. Rest there. Start again. Bend one more time. Return to the core. And there, in that silent space where all paths meet, explode.
Thank you very much, Sebastian. That's lovely. Next up is Rosie O'Regan.
So sometimes the darkness takes hold, and sometimes we get a poem. This is not probably finished, and I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Bleh. There is no fool like a dead fool, looking back over the shadow of what they left behind and thinking they can chase it somehow, as if they can imagine the lost delight, how it faded, as if they had known what they were doing before the sun went out, when it was always a trick of never wanting to know, of being bleakly ignorant. Poor dead fool without a body. Watch the leaves, how they brown and curl as if to hook themselves back onto the tree before the tree lets go and the wind sings them away, as if the song was for the leaves, their dark landings.
Thank you very much, Rosie. Next up is Deirdre Hines from Zoom, please.
I just want to thank Ovell. I can't believe it was 12 years ago that I came down and that Paul met me and I read down there for you. I'm going to read a poem called Disguises. We sneaked into the grey backyard while the babby paddled in the puddles. 2 weeks into the wettest summer, and this our only danger. I wore a disguise of my mother's best brown jacket over a skirt held up with a yellow ribbon. You wore your father's driving cap. We needed out from chores and chores. We were looking for some evidence the stranger with binoculars was enemy spy. Tiptoeing through the open back door, we crossed an invisible line in a kitchen piled high with books and drawers of eggs. Except those eggs were not the brown of Granny's backyard craw thumpers, but row on row of blue, yellow, red and cream treasures laid out on their little cotton shrouds in row after row after row in stack on stack of kitchen drawer. And then a floating feather bounces in the air, collides with another, and it was as if our entrance closed the lids on all those tiny rainbowed coffins, releasing all the spirits of those stolen chicks chirping and cheeping behind us as we hot-footed it out that ordinary kitchen door, down the empty lane and onto the empty beach, forgetting all about the babby. But isn't that always the way for bird or girl? Isn't there always glitter of light or lure of lair, disguised as life's great adventure that reveals itself to be Fata Morgana or trickster god, that sly old fox that fools every one of we little red hens? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deirdre. Great stuff. Next up is Benjamin Burns.
I'd like to say thank you to Paul. Just thank you so much. And well done. Congratulations. Like, I came to Cork in 2015 and didn't know anyone, and then started coming to, well, I think I went to one Ovale and then went to the Winter Warmer, and then started coming regularly, and it just became my my social group and my place to be with people and have fun. And then I think for 5 years I was never not hungover on a Tuesday. So thank you, Paul. But yeah, so, and congrats as well. I've done this one here before in costume, I think, but I'll do it again. It's called What It Was Like to Be a Bat Boy, after or in response to Thomas Nagel's essay, What is it like to be a bat? At 10, I pedalled hard. I was a pipistrelle with a red BMX for wings. I tore loops round the garden, cut corners, sprayed gravel, wore down grass. I was harried by invisible opponents, quick as light at the onset of night, quick as thought, or a bat who could execute wheelies. With no wheels, force, acrobatic adjustments mid-flight, I shouted and shouted at insects of sweet fuchsia rising who echoed code ended on my tongue, crumpled wafers between teeth, thin air buffeting my ears and against the undersides of my wings like a pair of feeling kites, or the palms of two calloused hands still sore from clutching the handlebars' dotted grips.
Thank you very much, Ben. Cool. Next up is Alexandra Toth.
Tall girl here. So the poem that I'm about to read, I actually wrote the site at the start of the year. I think it was like March, I think it was, and I kind of forgot about this poem because I didn't really think it was that good, and I kind of just wrote it behind the bar when I was like angry at certain things. So like I kind of kept it in my notes and never even looked at it again until yesterday. I kind of like read through it again and realized the fear that I talk about in this poem, I've changed so much throughout the year that like I decided to add like another paragraph or two to show in the poem how I've gotten through that fear in a way, and how I have changed as well. So this poem is called Metamorphosis. They had a voice, they weren't afraid to use it. They said the words clouding their minds and let it slip and slide down their tongue. They had a voice, the voice of being fearless. They had a voice, but she was scared to use it, in fear of not being heard upon and not being listened to. She had a voice, the voice of being afraid. They had a voice, they weren't ashamed to use it, even if the words that left their cruel mouths hurt another's soul. They had a voice, the voice of utter bitterness. They had a voice, she had a voice, but couldn't form the sentences, not after hearing the cruel words of those near her. She tried to fight back, to protect her dignity, but others turned her words inside out. She was the victim, but now she ended up looking like the villain. I staring straight right at her. She had a voice, the voice of defenselessness. I have a voice, the voice to protect myself, but do I use it? I wish I could. I don't want to be like this no longer. I want my voice to be heard, to be listened to. But am I always going to be like this, is the final question. So weak, so fearful. And then this will be the added part then at the end. I have a voice, the reverberation of metamorphosis. Where once my shy voice was scared, it is now self-protective, unafraid to say the truth when sensing danger. Where once I shut my mouth, afraid to speak, I now have a voice, the voice of confidence. I'm no longer a doormat, welcoming everyone to walk all over me. Truth be told, I still struggle with this confidence. It's not easy to live in this world with a kind heart. You give your truest and deepest self to others, hoping they'll like you, appreciate you, love you forever unconditionally. But what do you get in return? You're lied to, manipulated, and used to their own advantages. But I had enough. I told the truth, even if I was treated like the villain. They ended up treating you worse than when you were silent. They hated not having control over you no longer. They hated hearing your voice when they unconsciously knew your words held truth. They were weak, couldn't own up to their actions, but I was strong. I won a battle against my most colossal fear, the fear to protect oneself. That is the true metamorphosis of one's voice, my voice. Thank you. Have a lovely Christmas, everyone, and the New Year's. Don't get too drunk.
Thank you so much. Thanks a million. And wise advice. Great stuff. Thanks a million. Next up is Fionn Rogan, please.
I'm another happy Ovale child. Like I've got my chops up here. Soon to be Ovale orphan, but a big family here. So thanks, Paul. This is called How to Rise to the Challenge. So it might have an extra resonance this evening. It's kind of a recipe poem. 1. Believe that the pungent, sticky goo your colleague has just gifted you is actually a sourdough starter. 2. Trust that as you cycle home, the jar containing your living, breathing cargo will not explode all over your laptop. 3. Have faith that the feeding regime you embark on and the instructions you think you remember will nourish the starter and not kill it. 4. Be confident in your calculations of the number of days in advance that you need to start preparing to have freshly baked bread ready for Saturday lunch. 5. Suppress the fear that the gaping discrepancy between the picture in your recipe book and the vague mess in your mixing bowl is a portent of an ill-fated outcome. 6. Commit yourself to wholehearted kneading and banish your timid, self-conscious touch. 7. Believe that time and yeast will work its magic as you wait for the bread mix to double in size. 8. Be assured that although you don't know why it's called proving, something important and mysterious is taking place. 9. Trust that the alchemy of baking is happening once you've closed the oven door and nervously stepped back. 10. Take a leap of faith that when you tap underneath the bread to know if it is ready, you will hear a sound that says, "Eat me." Thank you.
Thank you very much, Fionn. Next up is Clive Osman on Zoom.
Hello. Okay, so can you imagine what it would be like if every time you read a typo or you misheard something, the world magically changed so that what you read or what you thought you heard became reality? And this is a rather random take on what would happen if every single typed mistake changed the world to fit its template. If one letter omitted or added, any others changed or out of place had a consequence for the human race. We would have violin music by Shaganini, David Blowie with his green weenie, old-time comedy from Scrotum and Wise, Kate Bush's Man with the Chili in his eyes, Boris Bronson snorting lines as he fathers bastards and spouts his lies, MPs from the gory party going to work to get high on Charlie. But even in these strangest of times, we need to get tough on rhyme and on the causes of rhyme. So, Simon and Carbuncle's greatest hits would include The Sound of Violence, Here's to You, Mrs. Robinsod, and Bridge Over Troubled Walter. I don't know why Walter is troubled or even who he is, but it seems somewhat harsh to stick him under a bridge. We could have an ABBA musical called Gonorrhea, and some wonderful movies as if the originals needed improving, like 101 Damnations, a hell of a film, I'm sure you'll agree. Then the 39 Sheps, where Cruella decided a change of breed would just as well fulfil her need. And Neil Diamond in The Jizz Slinger is a real humdinger. Joseph and his amazing testicular dreamboat, whatever that may be about. And Inglorious Bat Turds, about a flying mammal that met Ozzy Osbourne and cramped itself with nerves. There will be a tennis champion called Novak's Floppy Dick. We would have criminal Spice Girls called Felony B and Felony C. Muse singing about a supermassive asshole. And that's not all. Kids would hear Humpty Dumpty shat on the wall. A bit of hard whack never hurt anyone, though this I doubt. One over the head and your lights would be out. A bird in the hand is worth two on the boss, I concede. A friend in need is a fiend indeed. A football team called Wankfester United. Noisy Neighbours fans are delighted. Liverpool fans singing, "You'll never wank alone." The butcher giving his dog a boner. Putin interfered in Trump's erection and probably causing Asti infection. And I heard Harry Potter's goblet of fire appeared to be up for hire. How much? If you ever have to ask the prick, you can't afford it, Squire. I think this poem is the dog's bollocks. Others will call it puppycock. But on one thing we can all agree. Too many cocks really do spoil the broth. And you could end up with cheesy bunion sandwiches and a packet of clitoris all sorts. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Next up is Jim Crickard.
Thanks, Shauna. I think I have the perfect poem for me to read this evening. It's one that was shortlisted for the 5-word challenge a couple of years ago. And it's called Writing for the Ovale Open Mic. Just show how much I love it. Oh, mythologized Monday nights, you are the main reason I write. To hold the helm of the open mic. I want to have words that smoke, that spark. I want to set the hayloft on fire. And then put it out with poet tears. And when the smoke clears, they'll clap so hard the floorboards crack with jingling applause. The long valley will bar me. I'll take my leave majestically, and black stains from the flames will forever speak my name. Before hitting the peaks of my ego trip, I will need to find something to write. I could try to write like Sylvia Plath, sit before the typewriter and bleed. As I write by exhuming, ruminating, I worry that I'll cross the fine line between poetry and diary. I see myself setting my childhood loose on the room and it's knocking over pints. Poets sighing, rolling their eyes, trying to dry their notebooks. I could try to be the technical kind who write villanelles and sonnets, stick rigidly to form and rhythm, use words like hemlock and begot, sail them away in a John Keats dream. But I know that just isn't me. Before long the poets would notice one begotten word misused, and I'd be nude at the open mic, using a thesaurus to cover myself. So you know what? I'll stick to what I know, writing really camp poems. After all, it's called Ovale, not O the Hohen.
Thank you very much, Jim. Next up is Owen Cahill.
Thank you. I've been telling myself I was going to come along every month for the last 2 years, but I think I was afraid of the Tuesday hangover that was referenced there. So tonight is my first night, and then I feel partly responsible now. So
it was him.
sorry about that. We'll just have to make the most of the last couple of months. So thanks, Paul. I actually wrote this poem 2 years ago today, I think, and it's the only poem I ever wrote in a day. They usually take 1 to 3 years. So this is called Monday Morning at a Christmas Tree Farm, Searching for a Lost Pair of Glasses. We found our tree here yesterday after a military-style inspection of all noble firs crowded into 20 acres between the river and the hills. I return alone with wellies this time and the patchy coordinates gleaned from a preschool interrogation. It was by the river dad, pretty sure I handed them to Mom, who when questioned accepted that they may have fallen out of my pocket somewhere. Drag my weighted feet through the slush of the farm road that runs along the river's edge, then veer into the dense Christmas wood. Centre myself on the stump of our cut tree, darker in here with the taller ones standing around. Begin a careful circular trudge I love those glasses, black Ray-Bans no less, all business at the front, but it was the lime green streaks at the side that drew him in. And though he wouldn't admit it, I think he's grown to like wearing them. Moving through the trees now, I half expect to find him sitting on a branch like a decoration, looking down at me. Eyes to the ground again, I see a burrow, maybe Mole found a new pair. Rain taps harder on my hood as I step through the open doors of this labyrinth, clearings with freshly cut stumps, until I meet a wall of green that sends me back to try another path. Yesterday, him and his brother crashed through these branches like wild horses through fences. Their screeches and screams, screeches and shrieks, drifted to where I stood guard at our chosen tree, for what felt like the time it takes for a new ring to appear in the trunk, while my wife reappraised the remaining candidates, then went to find a man with a chainsaw. How much time should one invest in a hopeless cause? There is beauty all around, in the ripple of the river, in the hills and trees that loom above, but I'm just looking down at where I'll place my feet next. The sky overhead is now threatening snow, pours the colours of evening on all that's below, when what to my wandering eyes should appear but a streak of lime green winking from the mossy earth. I stop, look hard, then slowly move towards it, like a child arriving into a dark room on Christmas morning as they try to make out the shapes under the tree. Let out a mad laugh, then squat to examine the glasses that lie face down, their arms carefully folded, frame intact, lenses glistening in the rain, clean as they've ever been. A little gift laid out for me at the base of a miniature Christmas tree. The rain turns to hail as I rise and hold the glasses aloft like a trophy, presented to the roaring sky, the river and 1,000 trees. A little victory that will be replayed, a dreary Monday morning made. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Owen. Next up on Zoom is Massimo, please.
Hey, if Ovale were a person, I feel honored to have known you for most of your teenage years. So very glad to be here, and I look forward to, staying connected. This piece that I'm going to do is something that I did with, it's based on a prompt given to me by a dancer who we did a performance with a dancer, danced, and I did this poem. And her idea was called Body of Clay. So, where in the world do I come from? What is this place? What's the way that I came by? What am I made of? What am I made from? What am I made for? What am I made by? I was born with a father and a mother, and a sun, moon, and earth I'm embraced by. So before I had questions, these are the answers I'm already saved by. The science of our origins is mostly guesstimation. Sometimes a story is a purer explanation. No matter what faith or what race or what nation, every human culture has a story of creation. Stories of a potter wheeling clay with animation, or nostrils inhaling their creator's exhalation, or tears from the heavens womb that wept with gestation, or one woman who birthed the first generation. Universal tales, but unique in variation, that make the same point, though they change in illustration. If Earth is the house where all humans have been raised in, it's no wonder that the clay that we shape, we find shape in. But you don't have to break the earth to search its foundation. Sometimes uncovering is more than excavation. Memories of sounds, taste, touch, and sensation that feel too real to be my own imagination. 'Cause this earth is right here now, no matter what I say about it. I know nothing else because by it I'm surrounded. Even if I left the earth, I couldn't be without it. For in the definition, what is earth, I am counted. We are so clay-like, we make our likeness out of it. I did not make my body, but by nature, I am proud of it. A human voice timbers like a tree with the sound of it. A human head spirals like a flower from the crown of it. Even the words that we speak are earth-rounded. as natural acoustics before they're rebounded? How is sound weightless, but still fills the space around it, to prove that an appearance is the same as it sounded? Because this earth is so physical, there's little doubt about it, but still leaves room for moving all around it. I may pray to take flight or pray to stay grounded, but gravity still holds me down, no matter if I doubt it. It helps me see my helplessness is not to be ashamed of. Instead, it's proof I'm cared for by something that I'm made of. I'd love to think that nature and a mother have the same love, or a father stronger than whatever I'm afraid of. If nature is a force that does more than just display love, but also protects to sustain and create love, sometimes a humming in my bosom saying, wait, love, don't forget you are from love. How else could you make love? Remember, two people have to come together before the earth allows one of us to enter. Let that be proof in downpour or fair weather that wherever this place is, there's love at the center. 'Cause who makes sure the sun is never too high? Not I. Who turns the night back to blue sky? Not I. Who blew the breeze that just blew by? Not I. But if it's inside me, who can it be if not I? But then again, who am I again? Where do I come from? What is this place? What's the way that I came by? What am I made of? What am I made from? What am I made for? What am I made by? I was born with a father and a mother, and a sun, moon, and earth I'm embraced by. So maybe before I had questions, these are the answers I'm already saved by. Thank y'all so much. Peace.
Thank you so much, Massimo. Great to have you here with us. Next up is Kieran McCartan.
All right, y'all. Been a pleasure to hear you all tonight. When I first came to O'Vale, I was 17, and I came in through the door there. And I struck up a conversation with a fella who was standing there, and then pretty soon into the conversation, he asked me how old I was. Oh no, he asked me what I was doing, and I was like, I can't tell him that I'm in school. I can't say that, like, you know. But actually, no, it wasn't like it was. I had already ordered a pint. I was already asked what I wanted, and I had already ordered a pint. And by the time this conversation happened, and I didn't have any ID, so I was like, alright, so manage the situation here now, because if I just say to this fella that I'm in school, like, I'm never getting this point, like, you know, so here we are now, you know. So I just like imagined what my life was like a year from that moment, and I was like, what's the plan, you know? It was like, okay, so, and I just said I was doing music and English in UCC, which is a respectable answer for somebody coming to such a prestigious event, you know. And yeah, that's going to be 14 years ago in the springtime. So yeah, it's been a long journey, and I suppose what it is like a huge channel of energy, and that energy really been embodied tonight, and to hear all your work tonight has been an absolute pleasure. And you know, there are conversations being had about facilitating the ongoing channeling of that energy, but for this chapter we'll say a huge thank you to Paul, and absolutely unbelievable journey to be on with you, and you have all of our love and our respect for the next chapter of your life. I was going to read something else, but when I came up to read the 5-word challenge, this piece of paper fell out of the book, and like a big jump into the reality of your life. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna read this one instead. I'm only half there, 'cause only half of me could even stomach this. I'm winging your prayer, working on the list, judging 3 from 4 in the priority war. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Patterns galore, never short a strange chore to put back up on the shelf. I only work in goes and no's, 1s and 2s, gives and goes. I don't require your nearly theirs, wanted one day vacant stares. I don't smoke your crack that lets the light through the though the though blinded by its chink. I'm easy come and easy go too. Don't ask me to think. While you talk this morning was all dust, a smoking tree, a hole blown through the rust. You only see what the lens tells you you must. If I were free, there'd be no need to make a fuss. Easy, Galilee, easy. Gethsemane, get set, go fucking wonder. No easy to harbor your hunger. Silence comes easy to those not asking for noise, and failure is the testimony of all the quiet. Your keys, wondering, should I panic? Should I keep my poise? Realizing nobody's waiting, nor needs your slick wrist. I made it here tonight because I earned a clenched fist. And I slam it on the table when nobody's around, because came seen able to be somehow profound. I wish there was a table that came this way around. If I only had the cable, I'd produce the perfect sound. Come shelter in the stable, come shimmer on in your gown. Won't be here to judge my legacy, dying, laughing at the clown. Didn't think I'd be so cheaply that it'd keep us going round. It's not the soft days aren't breezy, it's the foraged wasn't found. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kieran. And next up is Pam Campbell on Zoom, please.
I just want to say that Ovell is one of my rocks on this earth that grounds me. And I am so grateful to have known Paul at Ovell and also in teaching of the classes he's done. And when I say something out loud, I do it. So I am going to come to Cork and attend Ovell in person before April is the last one. So now that I've said this, I have to. But now, for now, here's my poem. How to read a scar. How to read a scar. Creased, faded, marked pathway, pigmented permanence, curbing cells gone rogue, scalpel parting skin, mining bodily fault, waxing, waning, surrendering. How to read you, my torso scattered scars, like a river raging, pounding banked boundaries, spilling epiphanies, promising peregrinations, 2 moon shield maiden cresting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Pam, and sorry to put the pressure on you there with the short time span, but we'd be delighted to have you here in person. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you soon. Next up is Brendan, please.
Thanks. So it's 2007, Paul. We started, right? Okay, so around at that time, I was up with Tara in a tent, and it's called Motorway. So I guess I'll sing a song about Tara and about a very famous High King of Tara called Conor Moore. And his reign was a great reign. There was peace and prosperity, and so yeah, I'll sing a song. Tara, still green, the warrior flock raised their spears, but Conor Moore was shielded by their leader. He said, beautiful Conora, thou not the justice of your young heart. Conora, go naked to the valley, resting place of Ireland's past generations. Tara, walk there with stone in sling. Tara has called its sentry. Among cornfields Conor knew, Erin gave ceaselessly, not judging her kin. Under acorn branches Conor heard, Erin's people were on Oak Leaf. Near sunset Conor saw a flower, in its beauty found Erin's honor. Tara, waiting to clove him. Tara, crowned Conor High King, loyal to all. Conor brought peace to every home and wild place. Ireland prospered, baby and summer meadow growing tall. The old woman and the goldfinch, side by side, neither wronged. At Conor's table, the day is here. The Leah fall, roaring far Ireland. So many creeds, so many colors and waters and shapes and forms, all royalty in Ainlai returned once again. Chawer, chawer, chawer.
Thank you very much, Brendan. That was class. Would anybody else like to? Yeah, Finn.
Yeah, that's good. Howie, I'm new. I picked a great fucking time for it, I know. I feel I'm like the last dog on the ark. But I just started writing very recently, only a few weeks ago. And this is my first time reading out loud in front of people since I had to do a class project in sixth year. So this is a poem called Machiam. So in Irish, that means I feel. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but I wrote most of this in a fugue state at 4 a.m, 2 or 3 days after I'd been dumped. So I feel now as if things will never get better. I feel the land open beneath me to drag me to her breast in the cold earth. I feel as though I'm a husk in place of a man, but I can still feel as you drive your thigh in my hand. I feel my thumb caress yours, and the same sun that turns your auburn hair to gold warm me gently as you did. I can feel my resolve shudder under the weight of instinct. I feel the muscles tense above my cheeks. I tell myself for a man it's unnatural to be crying. But now I feel your chest against my face as I pull you closer from the edge of the bed. I feel your fingers through my hair, your hand's shadow on the back of my head. I feel my purpose faltering. Who is he who lives for no one, provides for nothing? A man builds great walls with his hands and mine defend not. I can so clearly see you laugh, every wrinkle on your face a mark of your joy, each one burning its way into my deepest subconscious. I feel as though I'm 10 feet tall, as though nothing will ever mean more to me. I hear the kettle shudder and crack, and the steam rise from both of our cups. My head rests on your shoulder, and my hands clasp around your waist. Water, then sugar. 2 sugars, then milk. You work as though I'm not there, and I feel as though I'm floating, that we exist as one. Lost to the rest of the world, lost to you in your entirety. I feel the aroma from your hair on my face. I remember how you used to smell when we were younger. I feel the same, as though I found the home God made for me before hitting the earth. I feel adrift. What am I to look at if not you? Why am I to live if not to live with you? And it's unnatural for a man to be crying, yet so much more unnatural is it to be without you. A cruel trick, to show Narcissus' reflection and throw him in the desert. I feel my resolve crumble under my instinct, and my face collapse into my hands. I feel in my moment of weakness I would have given anything just to feel it with you. I feel that I miss you, and I know that I loved you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Well done. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And yeah, it's class. And it's a really great privilege to be able to be here and hear people read for the first time, or you know, for however many times. It's really a special thing to be a part of. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, does anybody else want to say no? I'm going to, if that's okay. I want to say a poem because I never saw anybody performing poetry ever until I came to Avail. Even though I studied drama, I never knew that was a thing, which is like crazy. And it's only because of Avail that I was like, oh, maybe I could do that, and then just came the next week and did it. I got an app on my phone to stop, to reduce my screen time, and I actually can't get into my phone properly because of it, which means it works, but I can't get at many of my poems. So I'm going to say this poem, which I've said a couple of times over the past, I've said it at the Winter Warmer there, but yeah, I feel like if I don't say something, I will explode. So, okay. Mother is a queer club night in Dublin, and they have a rave in the woods at Electric Picnic. I'll tell you a story if you can lend me an ear. The year was 2022. Fresh out of a pandemic cocoon, everything felt a bit peculiar. For me, it was near 3 years earlier I had quit the drink, a miracle within itself. I used to love a set, but lost the run of myself, so kicked it. The right decision, I was sure of it, till I arrived here at Electric Picnic, my first festival sober. Felt like a witness of Jehovah roaming around teetotal. Seeing everyone wild and giddy made me a wee bit envious. Missing the permission slip that comes with a few sips. Substances that encourage a dance without constant cognizance of what I'm doing with my hands. I began to think maybe some experiences just aren't the same without a drink. Now I'm still enjoying it, don't get me wrong. But as the night went on, I began to feel a bit of malaise. I was about to head away, retire to my labba, when like the Pied Piper, it called to me, Mother. Do, 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 do. A whisper in the woods, a siren's call of early 90s ballroom dance hall. Do, 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 do. I whooshed through trees, dodging hipsters on ease, hopped over logs felled round young ones off their head until we found it. That nook in the forest, a Studio 54K Lee, go-go dancers, drag queens, sequins as far as the eyes can see. The people gleamed radiant. The rain, it pelted, but they were dancing on to the DJ spinning Beyonce's new song. And without one further thought, I joined them. Propel myself into the crowd, no longer lost and out of place. I found my people, found my space without the need to be off my face. And now I'm dancing, having a bop, moving more than I've done in yonks, a whirling dervish of disco. This feels almost spiritual. We vogue through Bardot, transcending the compression life's lessons have imposed. A seance beneath the night sky, We communicate with the divine through the sounds of 909s. Then fempunk rock and Stevie Nicks, it alchemizes all the pent-up shit I had been holding. The music is in my soul. And for the first time sober, I feel free in a Donna Summer ecstasy. I feel love, I don't feel no shame, I'm filled with the spirit of Sinead. Danu herself may well be raised, a disco Queen Maeve, fairy, an R&B banshee. I am every woman, it is all in me. That I stop being I and become the we, and everything feels alive and in technicolor, in a way that I feared would never occur sober. Now the music is my wine and my cup runneth over. I don't know what the hell happened, but it was like magic. We stayed there dancing for hours, and I left that forest, and my long-held belief that I needed to drink to have fun was gone. And from that moment on, I never really longed for a drink in the same way again. Sinead. Thank you very much. Thank you so much to Martina Evans for an incredible reading. Thank you, Martina. Phenomenal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to Paul for his 18 years. Thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for coming, everybody on Zoom. Thank you to Alexandra behind the bar, and we'll be delighted if you could come and join us in Arthur Main's afterwards. Now, which is now. So the next one is the second Monday of January for first fortnight, and have a lovely Christmas and New Year. Thank you very much.